and send payments to anyone else in the world without the permission of an authority or the assistance of some third party that would like nothing more than to take a big juicy fee from those transactions. 4 billion Bitcoin wallets would mean that I and the many other people working hard over the past many years had succeeded in bringing better money to the world, a global peer-to-peer electronic cash system. So let me ask the audience a question. Please raise your hand if you would love to see cryptocurrency adopted globally within your lifetime.
Absolutely.
Great. Me too. I mean, I love the technology. I'm enticed by the investment potential. But the reason I'm really here is to help fix money. I've been frustrated as a developer over the last few years because this meme has entered into circulation that blockchain can't scale, that we need some technological or scientific breakthrough to ever allow a system like Bitcoin to grow to global adoption levels. This is not true. The only breakthrough we needed was already achieved by Satoshi Nakamoto 10 years ago. Growing Bitcoin to global adoption levels can be done with existing technology. It's just going to take hard work and continued state-of-the-art hardware and software engineering. No technological breakthroughs are required. I'm not going to attempt to prove this claim to you in the next 17 minutes, but I do want to try to convince you that regardless of how big Bitcoin grows, you, as a user, will always be able to be your own bank, verify your own transactions, and send payments to anyone else without the assistance of a third party using technology that's already in the hands of 4 billion people worldwide. And this is possible with Bitcoin's SPV technology. SPV stands for Simplified Payment Verification, and it's just basically a simple method for users to verify their own payments. To appreciate how SPV facilitates scalings to billions of users, we need to understand 3 important aspects of Bitcoin's design. We need to understand how miners build the proof-of-work chain that serves as the dispute resolution center for deciding which transaction is valid when someone tries to spend the same Bitcoin twice. We need to understand the mechanics of how Bitcoin owners transfers their coins to each other. And last, we need to understand the relationship between those coin transfers and that proof-of-work chain built by the miners. Satoshi describes how the miners build the proof-of-work chain in section 4 of the white paper. It consists of things that Satoshi called block headers. Does anybody know how many bytes are in a block header? Shout it out if you know. Yes. How many? 80. Good. Nice work. And there's 3 critical pieces of information in a block header that Satoshi described in the white paper. Can anyone shout out some of those 3 things? Jason? No? I think you guys know what I'm going to check. It's the previous hash, the nonce, and the root hash. If that doesn't make sense to you, let's try to understand what those 3 terms are here. Let's pretend we're a miner and we're going to build, try to mine this new block right here. So, how do we fill in these 3 squares? Well, as a miner, the first thing we're going to do is try to fill in this previous hash square. So we're going to take the digital fingerprint of this previous block header, and we maybe get this number here, and we write that into our previous hash slot. The next thing we're going to do is try to calculate the root hash. To do that, we collect all of the transactions that we want to confirm in this block, the rules being that these transactions must be valid, and they can't spend any Bitcoin that's already been confirmed in a previous block. The root hash is, you can sort of think about it as a digital fingerprint of the set of transactions that we want to confirm. So we fill the root hash square in with whatever number that works out to, and then we go to work trying to find the magic value that solves the Bitcoin mining puzzle. The first thing we do is we try the number 0. And then we take the hash of this block header, and we get a number like this, 498283F8. This did not solve the Bitcoin mining puzzle. We tried the number 1. It did not solve the mining puzzle. We tried the number 2. It still did not solve the mining puzzle. What are we trying to do? What we're trying to do is we're trying to find some nonce value that when hashed results in a number that begins with a bunch of leading zeros. So I might not find that until I try nonce 45,873, and we see I got the 4 leading zeros that I was looking for. So now as a miner, I've succeeded in solving the Bitcoin mining puzzle. I'm going to propagate this block header along with all my transactions to the network, and this process begins again, and that is how the blockchain grows. So are there scaling challenges with respect to following this proof of work chain? And this is an important question because it's not just the miners that need to follow along this proof of work chain, but all those 4 billion users I described earlier need to follow along too, because the block header chain is their dispute resolution center. But the first thing to realize is that all of the world's transactions sit outside of that proof of work chain. There's no need to download all the world's transactions to follow along. You only have to follow along with those 80-byte block headers. In terms of the memory requirement to follow along, it works out to about 4 megabytes per year. That's like sending a couple pictures to your mom every year at Christmas time. In terms of bandwidth, it works out to 1 bit per second. I could literally tap out the block headers in Morse code. Another way to look at it is in terms of SMS text messages. We can fit 2 block headers in a text message. So following along the proof of work chain would be like receiving 1 text message every 20 minutes. This is possible today with a $5 feature phone. And there's 4 billion people that already have hardware and network connections that could achieve this today. So, are there scaling challenges with respect to following the proof of work chain? The answer is no. Okay, on to point number 2. How does a Bitcoin owner transfer a coin? Satoshi described this in section 2. He wrote, we define an electronic coin as a chain of digital signatures. Each owner transfers the coin to the next by digitally signing a hash of the previous transaction and the public key of the next owner and adding these to the end of the coin. A payee can verify the signatures to verify the chain of ownership. And Satoshi gave us this diagram to help make sense of the paragraph above. There's a lot going on in this diagram, so let's simplify it. Let's imagine that this is the last transaction on our chain of digital signatures that's been mined to the blockchain. And we have here Zoe, who has transferred her coin to Alice. So Alice owns the coin at this point in time. So if Alice wants to send this coin to Bob, well, what does she do? Well, the first thing she needs is Bob's public key. She's then going to hash that transaction that she got from Zoe, combine it with Bob's public key, pull out her private key, sign the resulting hash, and then package that all up in a transaction, and either broadcast it to the Bitcoin network or deliver it to Bob. If Bob wants to transfer that coin to Carol, he just repeats the same process, and we've built up figure 1 from the Bitcoin white paper. So, are there scaling challenges with respect to making transactions? Well, a typical transaction is only about 300 bytes in size. So that's like 2 text messages. So sending or receiving transactions is really quite trivial in terms of the bandwidth required. And the other thing to notice is just how peer-to-peer Bitcoin is. Like, I explained how we can transfer coins, but I didn't talk about miners, I didn't talk about the network, because it's not really required. Okay, so are there scaling challenges with respect to making transactions? No. Okay, The last topic is, what is the relationship between those coin transfers and the proof of work chain built by the miners? So, if Alice can just give the signed transaction to Bob to transfer coin, and Bob can just pass it on to Carol, well, why do we need miners in the first place?